I wanted to make a video about the death of the Me Too movement, being that I feel as though I have actually been a victim of the fallacious nature of Me Too and the current trends in women attacking men with fallacious attacks, and with society at large joining in with women to attack men with fallacious attacks. One of the biggest cases in this has been the Marilyn Manson case against Evan Rachel Wood, or Rachel Evan Wood. I forget how the names go with her. But the thing that was funny with that, I'll never forget. I'm not a fan of Marilyn Manson. I like some of his music. I'm not a big fan of his. I don't like him as a person. But when I heard Evan Rachel Wood explain what he allegedly did to her, everybody knew who she was talking about. And I actually am the only person I know that responded by simply cracking up. I started laughing hysterically because it sounded so ridiculous. Okay? It really did sound ridiculous. Now, the attacks against me, see, a lot of the smear campaign, when the smear campaign against me started coming to fruition, people started trying to paint, the people that are attacking me started trying to paint me as some sort of sexual deviant or sexual predator or something of that nature. Now, what was funny about that is A, I'm not, but B, it's very reminiscent of these other Me Too cases, particularly the false ones. What's terrible about the Me Too movement is that a lot of women are sexually abused, particularly in the entertainment industry, but also every day. And the thing that bothers me most about the Me Too movement isn't so much that it's attacking men. I'm very anti-manosphere, but the thing is, you shouldn't attack people. As a person, I'm a victim of this nonsense. So I know this firsthand about what this does to your reputation, about what this does with your ability to be trusted by women, about what this does to your ability to hold a job, about what this does to your ability to even be accepted by regular people in society once they start recognizing you for me, from the internet. But for somebody like Marilyn Manson, it's got to be absolutely terrible. For the example, Johnny Depp, he's lost movie deals because of this. It's completely affected his ability to operate as a member of Hollywood. And this is an ongoing thing, but there are real victims. Ironically, Rose McGowan was actually victimized by Harvey Weinstein. This blew the lid off of the fact that there are Mossad operators, ex-Mossad operators, operating as private security for some of the biggest names in Hollywood and elsewhere. And I brought that up in a previous video about how what the gang stalking that actually took place against Rose McGowan to silence her, how they would stalk her and things like that. The same kind of stalking that has been used against me by these people that have painted this false picture of me being a sexual deviant when I'm not. Now, also another set of victims that are real victims are the victims of, what's his name? Jeffrey Epstein. They are real victims. These women that were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein were real victims. And the sad truth is that because of people like Evan Rachel Wood and the other one, Amber Heard, these real victims are going to be seen as liars. And now women that come out about legitimate sexual abuse are going to be seen as liars. And that's what I think is so sad about this, because it's not fair to the actual victims of sexual violence and domestic violence and things of this nature. It's just not fair that they're not going to be believed because of the nature of these other people that have done these things. Now, in addition, what I would like to say is, this whole thing, I'm amazed that my accusers, probably because they don't have the brain power, but they haven't even brought up the concept of transhumanism against me, which I thought would have been hilarious. They have somewhat. They've talked about my desire of life extension and things of that nature, but they haven't really gone into the whole what transhumanism is and things of that nature. But Jeffrey Epstein, for example, was a transhumanist. So a lot of that has really negatively impacted the way people view transhumanism. And I'm going to leave a link to Maria Konovalenko on transhumanism. And transhumanism, I made videos on transhumanism in the past. Transhumanism is essentially the use of technology to remove human frailty. It's essentially medicine. One of the funniest things I find about people is they're against transhumanism, but they're not against cybernetic implants when it comes to, oh, I don't know, a pacemaker or dialysis or something of that nature. They're not against using technology to preserve their life if it's something that came out, 20 years ago or something, or an insulin pump or something like that. But they're against using gene modification. Now, genetic medicine, as you know from Liz Parrish, who's also a transhumanist, genetic modification is going to be the answer probably to retarding the aging process, very much so. And that's one of the problems that I see is a lot of these people that are against transhumanism don't realize that essentially what transhumanism is applied medicine. It is medicine. That's what transhumanism is. But you hear people, when you hear somebody like Jeffrey Epstein is a transhumanist or Bill Gates is a transhumanist, I don't actually think Bill Gates is a transhumanist. If I remember correctly, he's actually anti-transhumanist. And also Elon Musk is against gene modification. And a lot of the conservatives are pro-Elon Musk right now because Elon Musk is allegedly pro-freedom of speech. I don't believe he is. He's also anti-gene therapy. Now, what's funny is Elon Musk is against using genetic medicine. Keep that in mind. He's against using genetic medicine, but he's not against putting microchips in people's brains and being able to write into the brain. Okay, so he's against using genetic medicine to save lives, but he's not against using microchips to put in people's brains to essentially control what they think. And these are the people that conservatives are now rallying around. So my point is I'm actually more amazed that there's not more look into the connection between transhumanism and Me Too because of Jeffrey Epstein. Why was Jeffrey Epstein a transhumanist, people might ask? Well, I think intelligent people are drawn to intelligent things, and I think that Jeffrey Epstein was highly intelligent, and I think he was drawn to transhumanism because transhumanism makes sense. It really just makes sense. If you are a smart person, generally speaking, I don't see how you could disagree with transhumanism once you know what transhumanism actually is. Ray Kurzweil is a transhumanist, okay? Maria Konovalenko is a transhumanist. Liz Parrish is a transhumanist. Natasha Vita-Moore is a transhumanist, okay? There's a lot of transhumanists out there that I think that, you really need to take into consideration. Why are these people transhumanists? Well, because transhumanism makes sense, and transhumanism should have already won, and transhumanism is inevitable, because eventually the singularity will be here, and, things like gene therapies and stuff like that, they'll be more common. And I think that people like Ray Kurzweil are very right about things. And I'm going to leave links to Ray Kurzweil and Maria Konovalenko and Natasha Vita-Moore and Liz Parrish in the description so people can find out who these people are. Now, they're not at all connected to Me Too, but the truth is that the way that the media has tried to splice transhumanism in with Me Too, and the conservatives are trying to make it look like everybody that's some kind of weirdo is also a transhumanist, is discounting the inevitability of transhumanism and the fact that transhumanism will be the evolution of humanity. It will be the next stage in human evolution. And it's kind of sad because you have conservatives like the John Birch Society actually made a whole video about the horrors of transhumanism and the horrors of genetic medicine and the horrors of this and the horrors of that. The facts are the facts, man. You're either going to evolve, like Friedrich Nietzsche said, man is a bridge between ape and Übermensch. So you can either choose to become Übermensch, or you can choose to become an ape. And the thing is, I think the majority of humans, particularly those that are conservatively bent, are going to become a bunch of chattering apes. They are not going to take that step forth toward Übermensch. They are not going to listen to the prophet Zarathustra. They are instead going to listen to the devil, in lack of a better word. And that devil is a combination of social liberalism and conservatism, which is literally crushing the human soul. There are no conservatives left in this country. But going back to the Me Too movement, you see the Me Too movement in its death throes. And it was very enlightening to me to see that there's a young woman named Colonel Kurtz, she calls herself, on YouTube. And I'm going to leave a link to her channel because she is the one really leveling the death blow to Me Too. Because Me Too is an abomination. Me Too is really it's been nothing but devastating to actual victims of sexual and domestic violence. These things do need to be tackled, but they need to be tackled not in some kind of mass movement. But what needs to happen is law enforcement needs to take sexual violence and domestic violence more seriously in this country than they already do. And it's not going to be done by people falsifying allegations against famous people like Marilyn Manson or Johnny Depp. It's just not the way things are going to happen. If you remember, they tried to level when they did the accusations of anti-Semitism and racism against Mel Gibson. They tried to have this anti-white movement in Hollywood, and it didn't really take off. Ironically, I'm actually somewhat amazed at that, but it never really dug its teeth in too hard, but you see it elsewhere. And I think that people need to pay very special attention to what Hollywood supports. There was an example of Jussie Smollett. Dave Chappelle did a video on Jussie Smollett about his ridiculous accusations about, being attacked by Trumpers in Chicago at like 2:30 in the morning. And, unfortunately, they let him right out of prison instead of making him serve time. Because the other thing is, with Jussie Smollett, I don't believe in hate crimes. I think hate crimes are a bunch of baloney. I don't think you should be able to prosecute somebody for their intentions during a crime. You should prosecute them for the crime they committed, not the thoughts they had while committing the crime. But the thing is, with Jussie Smollett, what happened with him is he lied, and what he did is he made everybody that actually does suffer a hate-fueled attack look like a liar. So his victims are actually all of the people that are actually attacked by real racists and real sexists and real homophobes and real people that hate people of other religions. They've been victimized by Jussie Smollett a second time because now they look like liars. And I think most hate crimes probably are phony, but the point is that just makes everyone that suffers a hate crime look like a liar. And that's the problem with that. There will be links in the description.